Hey everyone! Today we are diving into what Durin, the cute little dragon dropping in 6.2, can bring to some of our favorite husbandos like Kinich, Wanderer, Cyno, Neuvillette, Tartaglia, and Wriothesley. We are gonna do some team building together to check out all the new possibilities Durin opens up, and then we will break down the rotations for these new team comps. Durin is a super versatile support and sub-DPS with great buffing power, solid pyro application, and strong off-field damage. About pyro application, there is some important things to know. Durin has a standard ICD, meaning he applies the pyro element either every 2.5 seconds or every second hit. So what does that mean? In light mode, Durin deals pyro damage every 1 second, but he applies pyro following a standard ICD, meaning every other hit, so it will be every 2 seconds. In dark mode, Durin deals pyro damage every 1.25 seconds, but he applies pyro every other hit, so roughly every 2.5 seconds. So overall, here is what Durin brings to our on-field DPS. During light mode, deals pyro damage every 1 second, apply pyro every 2 seconds, and also reduce enemy resistance by 20% or 35%. In dark mode, he deals pyro damage every 1.25 seconds, apply pyro every 2.5, but he will deal more damage on hits and even stronger damage with vape or melt. About his constellations, at C1, you get extra additive damage for your on-field DPS in light mode, but in dark mode, those bonuses damage are consumed by Durin himself to boost his personal damage. C2 is very simple. Your DPS gains plus 50% bonus elemental damage, and at C6, your team ignore 30% total defense. Of course, Durin's constellation do much more than that, but here I'm only listing what directly benefits our on-field DPS. Okay, let's start with Kinich. Right now, Kinich has two very strong teams, and naturally, Mavrika is one of his best teammates. First, we have Kinich, Mavrika, Yansan, Bennett, an extremely strong team in single target. Then we have Kinich, Mavrika, Emily, and Yansan, which is a team that is better in AoE damage. Generally, the team without Emily is preferred because it allows Kinich to deal much higher personal damage, but both teams have their strength. With Durin's arrival, Dendro damage gets significantly buffed, even more if your Durin is C2. That's why teams including Emily gain a bit more value when running Durin. One of his best team will be Kinich, Emily, Durin, and Yansan. Here, Yansan will be able to benefit from Cinder City Scroll way easier thanks to the Alpha Dendro app from Emily. On top of that, if your Kinich is C2, you already get 30% Dendro resistance rate, and Durin adds another 20%. This means you are far less dependent on the Deep-Root artifact set. Thanks to that, Emily can be built to deal much higher personal DPS. Yansan can be replaced by Bennett, but here Yansan will just perform better with a scroll. If you don't have Emily, Kinich, Durin, Yansan, and Bennett will be his premium team in single target. But please keep in mind that to proc scroll on Yansan, you will need Kinich's burst. This will be a very strong team, sharing similar results with his previous team with Mavrika. Basically, Durin is really a side grade that allows you to remove Mavrika from the team. At C0, the results are similar to Mavrika, but Durin's constellations are far more impactful as a support compared to hers. A Durin C1 R1 or C2 R1 will be more beneficial as a support than a Mavrika C2 R1. If you don't have Yansan, cons, or just doesn't want to play her, you have other options. Since Durin loves to be paired with a second Exent Circle member, you can add Albedo to the team. Kinich, Durin, Albedo, and Bennett. But please note that this is a downgrade to Yansan. Here, Albedo will offer 12% total damage bonus to Kinich and 42% total damage bonus to Durin, while doing some good off-field damage. And now about rotations for those three teams. Kinich, Emily, Durin, and Yansan. Kinich is obviously on Obsidian Codex. Emily can be on Deepwood set or Burning set, depending on Kinich if he is C2 or not. For Durin, you have some choice. 4 pieces Noblesse, or 2-piece Noblesse Crimson Witch, or 4-piece Emblem. Since you have Yansan here instead of Benny, it could be better to play Durin with 4-piece Noblesse. And of course, Yansan is on Scroll. Now for Kinich, Durin, Yansan, and Bennett. For Durin, it's the same, 2-piece or Emblem or Deepwood if Kinich is not C2. Scroll for Yansan, and now you have Bennett with Noblesse. For the Albedo alternative, Kinich, Durin, Albedo, and Bennett, you can run 2-piece Emblem or Deepwood on Durin, of course. 4-piece Husk for Albedo, and Noblesse on Bennett. You absolutely don't need to burst with Albedo in this team comp. It would be a DPS loss, even if he looks cool while bursting. Those damage aren't worth the animation time. Also, you don't need the bonus EM it provides in a burning team. Now about our boy Wanderer. Wanderer has multiple teams, especially a new one with Inefa to benefit from the Nutcry meta, but his premium team is still with Furina and Bennett, and of course Faruzan. Like we said earlier, for Kinich, Durin is a side grade to Mavrika, with some better potential as a support, especially with some early cons like C1 or C2. Here, it will also be a side grade to Furina. Durin can replace Furina, but he don't replace Faruzan. Faruzan at C6 is way too good for Wanderer, so a new possible team would be Wanderer, Faruzan, Durin, and Bennett. Please note here that yes, Durin really likes to be paired with a second Hexen Circle member, but it is not always a must. This team with Durin Faruzan share similar results with his previous premium team, with Furina. With all those buffs Mondstadt characters got, Venti is now also an option for Wanderer, and will unlock some different teams. Venti now provides a 50% total damage bonus for all Anemo characters that triggers a swirl during his burst. He also does some good damage by himself. Even if he is stronger now, Faruzan C6 is way too strong for Wanderer to be replaced. But according to calcs, the difference between those two teams is quite low. The Faruzan team is winning, but not by much. That means if you have C2 Venti, who can reduce animal resistance, he will be able to replace Faruzan easily. Also, if your Faruzan isn't C6, then a C0 Venti is a solid option. There is also another option that I like to call the Animal Destroyer comp with Venti and Faruzan. So we have Wanderer, Venti, Durin, and Faruzan. Faruzan buffing Wendy and Venti. This will be a very strong team comp, but you don't have any sustain. So good luck to survive in Stygian and slow. But I'm sure you have more skill than me when it comes to dodging, so maybe this team will work for you. If you are really scared of dying, you can also play with C4 Jin in this comp. Wanderer, Venti, Durin, and Jin, but it will be a small downgrade. C4 Jin can be a strong option if you need more comfort, even more sustain. She will provide very strong burst healing, not only to the active car, but to the entire team. If you have her at C6, she will also reduce damage you receive. But honestly, C4 is enough. She will reduce animal resistance and buff Venti's and Wanderer's damage. but still, it will be a small downgrade from Bennett or Farzan. If you desperately need some shielding for the interruption resistance, you have Albedo as an option. This is a downgrade too in comparison to those teams we talked about earlier, but it gives you some shielding with some healing, and will Albedo will buff Scara's damage too. But most importantly, we have a full boys team, and Scara, Durin, Albedo are reunited together, and that's already a good reason to play this team. Now, about rotations. Wanderer, Farzan, Durin, and Bennett. Here, DPC are echoes for Wanderer. You can run TOTM Tenacity on Farzan, 2-piece or Emblem on Durin, and Noblesse on Bennett. For the Venti alternative, Wanderer, Venti, Durin, and Bennett, you have almost the same setup, but now Venti will be on Scroll. With Albedo, there is not much difference in terms of artifacts. Albedo is better on Husk to reach those 3k death and for his personal damage. But if you really want to buff Wanderer, you can put him on TOTM, Tenacity. And Cyno. Sadly, our boy Cyno didn't really get many opportunities to shine in the previous meta. However, in the current meta with lunar reactions, pairing him with Innefa and Loma creates a very solid team comp. Even if Flint outshines him, Cyno still performs well in certain endgame content. His current premium team is Cyno, Innefa, Loma, and Xingqiu. So, what role can Durin play in his teams? Well, simply Overload. Fischl is one of the characters who received a significant buff from the Exensical system. She can now provide a 22.5% attack boost whenever Overload is triggered in the team, and this bonus is doubled at a 45% attack buff at C6. Having Fischl, Durin, and Chevreuse together in one team now gives Overload comps a ton of potential. You get attack boost, elemental damage percent, and good amount of resistant shred. Plus, Fischl works as a great battery for Cyno here. You also benefit from both Pyro and Electro Resonance. There are so many things Cyno wants in this setup. Cyno, Fischl, Durin, and Chevreuse ends up performing similarly to his current premium team with Innefa and Loma. So now we finally have another viable option for this boy. Of course, many other Electro or Pyro main DPS characters can benefit from this comp, like Raiden or Chlorinde, but we are here to talk about boys, so it's gonna be Cyno. Reza can also benefit from this with a team like Reza, Durin, Chevreuse, and Yansan. Yansan instead of Fischl, since Reza is also a Exensockel member. So, for Cyno, Fischl, Durin, and Chevreuse, you want Thundering Fury, TF, or Gilded Dream on Cyno, and TOTM on Fischl. Always the same thing for Durin, 2-piece or 4-piece emblem, and Noblesse for Chevreuse. Let's talk about Neuvillette a bit now. Almost every time a new sub-DPS or support comes out, our Hydro Dragon ends up getting a new teammate. Neuvi, Kazuha, Xylon, and Furina has been one of his best teams since Natlan. When Notcry started, the Lunar Reaction meta became a new premium setup for Neuvillette, with Neuvi, Innefa, Loma, and Furina. Now, with Durin, we have some new options. These new teams are side grades, not really stronger than the previous ones. The current team with Innefa and Loma is a Hyper Bloom team, meaning the damage is mostly single target. But if you replace Inefar with Durin in light mode, you can now play Burgeon. And Burgeon is better in AoE than Hyperbloom. Here, we want Durin in light mode to buff the Dendro damage from Burgeon. Loma boosts Burgeon reactions and also provide resistant shred for Neuvillette. So we get Neuvillette, Durin, Loma and Furina. Mona can also be a good option instead of Furina to benefit from the Exensical buff. Tartaglia is also a husbando who can be played here instead of Neuvillette. The team remains exactly the same for him. Of course, you can also play Neuvillette and Tartaglia in a vape setup, with Durin in dark mode. But in that case, it's Durin who will be vaping, not Neuvillette or Childe. About team rotations for the Burden team. Here we have Deepwood on Loma, Golden Troop on Furina, but most importantly an EM build for Durin with a Bloom set, Flower of Paradise. For the Vape team, it can be Neuvi or Tartaglia. Durin can still use 2-piece or Emblem, but now 4-piece Crimson Witch is also a strong option. Albedo is on 4-piece Husk, and Sucrose on 4-piece VV, and Furina on Golden Troop. Before ending, I wanted to talk a little bit about Wriothesley. Wrio's current best team is Freeze with Escoffier. Durin can be an option for him, but first it will be a clear downgrade compared to the Freeze team. It won't be meta. Second, Durin will be the one melting, not really Wrio. So, Wriothesley, Durin, Albedo, and Bennett. You can replace Albedo with Sucrose, and if you have Albedo, you can build a team with double Geo with Xilonen replacing Benny. Or you can also play Burn Melt, but here Durin will use his light mode, since we want Wrio to melt. It will be Wriothesley, Emily, Durin, and Bennett. I will only talk about the first team that I will definitely play. Wriothesley, Durin, Albedo, and Benny, a full boy team. Wrio is using Maréchaussée as usual. Durin can use 4-piece Crimson Witch. Albedo is on 4-piece Husk, and Benny on Noblesse. Well, honestly, there are tons of other teams you can run with Durin. I just covered some of the best ones for my husbandos. Durin is a really flexible character and a great addition to your roster, and this little dragon is hella cute. I'm also really happy to see some new full male teams that are actually viable. This was my first mini guide and my first time recording my voice on YouTube. I really hope this video helped you out a bit. In my next video I will be pulling for C6 or 5 Durin, so don't miss it. I wish you the best of luck on your next pulls. See you.